Mark Altenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know what I think was not presented to the Charter Commission as they passed the hydrant amendment, as they passed this. You got to remember, the Charter Commission already passed this in 2012. We are the ones who voted it down. They already passed this. What was not presented to the Charter Commission was their option to go directly to the ballot. I don't think the Charter Commission ever knew that they could go directly to the ballot. They have the right, as the Charter Commission, which is run through the 7th District Judiciary, not by the City Council, to go directly to the people of Moorhead and ask for charter changes. Okay? If they feel that one person on this council is going to hold up a charter change that they feel is important to the people of Moorhead, they can go directly to the people of Moorhead. And that's democracy, and that's the way it works under our charter. Now, the reason we had to move so fast, the reason I wanted to move so fast is because I didn't want to put additional cost on the people of Moorhead to have a special election on this. I wanted to get this on the November 2013 ballot so that we didn't have to do this in January or February, or as you've seen other folks do, decide to have a March election and we've got to pay $16,000 to have an election on one charter change. They could do that too. The Charter Commission could have done that as well. They could put one of these on the ballot every month if they wanted to. That's their right. And we don't have the right to change the charter in order to eliminate that. What I do take issue with is Nancy's question of whether people pay attention. Ask Grant Whalen. Ask Wayne Ingersoll. Okay? When Wayne Ingersoll went to the doors in 2008, did people say, are you voting for Barack Obama or are you voting for John McCain? They didn't ask him that question. You can ask Wayne. They didn't ask him about abortion. They didn't ask him about gay marriage. They asked him about county issues. And if we take a look at the tax rolls that we pay as property taxpayers, the number one collector of my property taxes is the county. And that's the question people have. Now, when Grant Whalen went door to door down in the 3rd Ward, I don't think people asked him about abortion and gay marriage and state issues and federal issues and who he was going to vote for president. They knew Grant. They trusted Grant. They voted for Grant, and it was a competitive election. Wayne and Ben, I know both those folks, and they didn't run into those questions. They ran into local questions about county government. And we will run into the same thing if this gets passed and we go to even year elections, because people want to talk to us. When we went to the block parties just a couple weeks ago, people want to talk about local issues, and people watch these meetings with special consideration because they know we are their most direct representatives. And how did I get this idea to go directly to the Charter Commission? It was a conversation we had when the mayor had presented 2 or 3 things for the Charter Commission to consider last year. And we asked this question, how did this get in front of the Charter Commission? And the mayor said, I brought it to him. And at that time, we had that conversation, and someone at this dais said, do you mean we can bring things directly to the Charter Commission? And the answer was yes. And so can citizens of the public. They can bring things to the Charter Commission. And if the Charter Commission decides to send it to the council, because they feel comfortable they'll get a unanimous vote, they can do that. If the Charter Commission has a person from the general public, and the general public, as citizens of the city of Moorhead, can go to the Charter Commission and say, I want this change, and the Charter Commission can say, I want it on the ballot, it's on the ballot. Because we appoint these people, we trust their judgment. These are people that we appointed, and they want this on the ballot. And so it's that same tension that we have with Moorhead Public Service. So I don't think this is the end of the world for local elections. I'm sure that's what Clay County felt when they went to even year. I'm sure that's how the school board feels. But it isn't. And I believe that a lot of the arguments that we're going to hear are based on fear and not reality. And we are one of maybe 7 municipalities across the state of Minnesota that has odd year elections. Every other municipality has even year, and they function very well. And I'm sure if we talk to those folks, they would say they fight just as hard for their positions, whether they're incumbents or people that want those positions, as we do. So, you know, I don't believe that moving to an even year will lessen the importance of getting out and going door to door. I don't think it'll increase the cost because we have the ward system in Moorhead. And I've argued with the Fargo Forum about this. Why don't we go at large versus ward? This is exactly why we go ward, so that we can hit every door and know our neighbors and talk to them and present the issues and have them take a vote on us. But I take full responsibility for this. The reason I moved so fast is because I wanted to save the people of Moorhead money and get this on the November ballot of 2013 rather than having a special election sometime next spring.
As we're going to leave this issue, where we were just being informed, we've heard a lot of things about the Charter Commission. I'd like to do a 101 government segment for those at home that are kind of wondering about the Charter Commission. So I'd like to kind of explain it. As city council members and the mayor, we recommend to the chief judge of the 7th District Court, I believe it's in St. Cloud, people we feel should fill terms for our Charter Commission. We do limit the Charter Commission members to a 3-year term, and we could extend it for 1 more term. The judge is the one that chooses them. We don't. Once they're selected, they meet quite independently. They can create their own budget. Right now they use our city attorney, but in years past they haven't. They've chosen different attorney. In fact, they used attorney from out of the Twin Cities for a number of years. And it isn't something we can control with the budget. They decide what they want to do, and we just have to pay. I find that very interesting. They can choose, if Councilmember Hitermeyer wants to bring 25 charter amendments, that's fine. They could choose to ignore all 25 because they are totally independent. And that's kind of an interesting dynamic that exists in the city of Moorhead. There is actually one position open right now, I believe, on Charter Commission. And if anybody is interested in becoming one of the founding folks of the city of Moorhead and are interested, they could get a hold of Michelle, and she would forward the information on.
Mayor,
Mark Hitermeyer.
yeah, since you brought my name up, I thought I was clear. My point is I'm going to be 25 amendments that I expect staff to put a presentation together. That's my issue. And I don't know why we keep broadening this or trying to change this into something the discussion is. I've clearly stated as the mayor, any council member can have any conversation with any charter commission member they want. What I object to is that the staff is making the presentation in a fashion consistent with what that council member is saying. So my point is here, I'm going to take the cloak of the staff and use their presentation to further my position on an issue. That's what I find inappropriate. And so, Councilmember Audi, you're absolutely right. This breaks down unless we have a policy or we clearly define that one council member is not directing staff to do something at a different level, kind of insinuating that staff, that it's a council decision to allow staff to take one side or the other.
I'd like to quit this right now. Luther hasn't spoken before on this.
Thank you, Mayor.
During this discussion.
I just wanted to ask a question, clarifying question. Councilmember Altenburg brought it to the Charter Commission. Was the Charter Commission that requested city staff, or was it Councilmember Altenburg's request?
I had contacted the Charter Commission after getting Altenburg's request, and I asked, how would you like me to approach this? Do you want me to give a presentation based on the facts only from other cities? And he said yes, and that he wanted a lot of stuff on e-poll books as well. And then I also presented what other cities had expressed the benefits of switching to even-year only elections, along with costs, with the e-poll books, and what we're facing every year.
So
and that was it. And they were given 3 options, and they chose bringing it to the vote of the people.
And by they, you're referring to the chair of the Charter Commission?
Yes, Richard Bolton.
Okay, thank you.
Mark Altenburg, and then we should be done.
Last comment, and it goes on Luther's. I did not request that staff make a presentation to the Charter Commission. The Charter Commission requested that staff make a presentation. And if Councilmember Hitermeyer wants to bring forward 25, he cannot direct staff to make presentations. The chair of the Charter Commission could ask staff to make a presentation. We do not have the right, under the Charter, to direct the staff to do anything. All I did is requested that it be brought forward to the Charter Commission, and the chair of the Charter Commission asked the staff to make the presentations. I had some clarifying questions for our city attorney, as is my right.
We will move forward to mayor and council reports. Michael.